After your first meeting with this patient and his carer, you have had the time to perform additional analysis for AML and possible mutations in detail. The patient knows this, is very anxious about what was found. What will be the first thing that you say to them today?
At our first meeting a week ago, we discussed that you have a blood condition called leukemia, and I told you I needed a week to analyze in more detail the type of leukemia you have. We now have a better idea on your blood cell counts, how the leukemia cells look under the microscope, and we also identified genetic abnormalities. We call these prognostic factors, and they will help us determine how likely leukemia is to come back. You may hear the term relapse, and how likely response to treatment is, so we can guide treatment accordingly. This is not reflecting on your chances of survival. Before we speak in more detail about what I've just said, I'm sure it has been a very difficult time waiting to see me this week. How was your week at home, and how do you feel today?
Now that you have heard this mutation discovery news from your doctor, what are the first things that are going through your mind?
Doctor, our week at home was tearful, and we are afraid for our future. After our first meeting last week, I did go home and started getting our personal affairs in order. Is it good news what you said about having a specific mutation? And are these new treatments helping others right now? What is the process of the treatment you chose, and do you know how well the new treatment helps my chances of survival?
Now that you have heard the patient's initial response to your news about prognosis factors, how will you answer his question about his treatment process and chances of survival?
Leukemia is a challenge for every patient, and I cannot make any promises about your prognosis or about how successful any treatment will be, as this is different for every patient. And although I have run the tests, I alone do not decide the best course of action for you. Our hospital has a requirement that all patient diagnoses and treatment options are discussed by a complete team of specialists and observers, which helps determine the best and safest path of treatment for you. My plan is to work with you and discuss all potential options to give you the best chance of not only longevity, but also a good quality of life. Remember, you always still have the choice of getting a second opinion.
Do you feel you have enough information now that you and your doctor can proceed with a treatment plan?
I am grateful to be able to discuss with you my treatment options. That is reassuring. But I still have no idea about the treatment plan, a schedule, the costs, or my chances of being treated successfully.
This is a key moment in your second meeting with this patient. You can see the patient has no idea about what to expect next. Are you ready to tell this patient what you and the consultation team recommend as his detailed treatment process?
My ability to answer your concerns about your long-term survival depends on many factors, but the treatment plan does offer hope based on how it is helping others. But even with this plan, no one can tell you exactly what will happen or how long the treatment might take. You have not spoken yet, and my experience is that a patient always needs a caregiver for so many things. You could be a second listener, a scheduler, a driver, a prescription manager, a financial officer. Patients always need support from family and friends. You can ask all the questions you want, and you are encouraged to take part in the discussion regarding the treatment plan. Okay?
As the news and treatment plan about leukemia becomes more clear, what else do you want to say to him or ask him?
Thank you for including my partner, Doctor. She's here to help me. I'm sure you now see we are still afraid about our future, but also it seems it's time to get started with the treatments you recommend. What do we do next? When and where?
You explained the general treatment plan as recommended by the collaboration team. It seems he heard you about the collaboration and recommendations. What will you tell him next?
Let's go into detail now. Remember, you can always ask questions and can always change oncologists or hospitals. You can also reach out to patient organizations which are well placed to answer all of your questions and provide any kind of support you and your family may need. In general, the treatment happens in phases. The first phase is called induction and usually requires intensive chemotherapy aimed at getting rid of as many leukemic cells as possible. It can be very harsh on your body. The intensity depends on patient age and health. You could be offered a treatment that avoids intensive chemotherapy if this option is both available and viable for you. After this first round, and depending on the percentage of leukemic cells left in your system, we will discuss whether to continue chemotherapy as consolidation or if a stem transplant would be a better option for you. There are now treatments of milder chemotherapy as well as injections combined with oral tablets taken at home, which have proven beneficial in official trials. Also, there is a lot of clinical trials ongoing at the moment. We can certainly discuss whether this could be a good option for you.
Now that you have heard about the recommended treatment plan, how do you feel about what you heard regarding the other options and the side effects?
We still are not sure of some details, but I might be starting to understand my new illness a little more. We now both need to hear in greater details about the schedule and the processes of the treatment plan. We understand now that I should not expect as much as I want to, that you will tell me how well or how long I can expect to be on the treatments, the side effects, or how long I might live. But the collaboration to make decisions and to protect me is making me feel a little more hopeful. We are ready to begin treatment.